Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Christians against the Ottomans. Thank you, I think it was Greek. Thank you, Greek, for the recommendation. Preemptive like, hey guys, original link to the video, top of the description from History March, fantastic history channel. I'd say in my top 3. History March, Kings and Generals, Epic History, I'd say are my 3 favorite. But there are a few others that are awesome. So, let's go. Battle of Kosovo, 1389. But I guess this is the bigger title here. Last stand of the Christians against Ottomans. I thought that would be Vienna, no?
After the disastrous defeat at Maritza in 1371, the Serbian Empire was left without its most powerful nobles. Vukašin Mrnjevčević and his brother Ubiesa were killed, and only a few months later the last Serbian emperor, Uroš V the Weak, passed away without an heir. This effectively put an end to the Nemanjić dynasty that held the reins of power for over 2 centuries.
This is the area that used to be the Bulgarian Empire, right? Or area of the, just where the Bulgarians were, where... I always forget his name. Something Basil II, the Bulgar Slayer, I think was it. Basil this. So interesting how the Serbians then entered centuries later.
The realm disintegrated as the local lords carved out their own territories within the boundaries of the fallen empire. The Christian domains in the region were now in a difficult position. Fragmented, none had the strength to hold off the Ottoman armies. But although Sultan Murad I could have defeated his neighbors one by one, he knew that controlling the newly conquered areas would not be easy and could provoke a potential creation of an anti-Ottoman coalition. So the Sultan decided on a different strategy. Instead of seizing lands of the defeated forces, he offered peace to the Dijanović noble family in exchange for vassalship.
Okay, the opposite of what I thought. A similar
strategy was executed in Bulgaria, which was threatened the most by the Ottomans, but also Byzantium, which could only find safety behind the walls of Constantinople. Being further west, Prince Marko, the son of the dead king Vukašin, probably did not become an Ottoman vassal immediately after the defeat at Maritza. But having lost much of his troops in the battle, he was no longer able to stop nearby Serbian nobles from seizing his territories.
Interesting how Albania was already a thing. I thought that Albania might have been a sort of creation of the Ottoman Empire for some reason. I guess because I heard that Albania is pretty heavily Muslim in their religion. And so I thought it would have been just a remnant of former Ottoman lands. So were they Christian at the time?
Stop nearby Serbian nobles from seizing his territories. To stay in power, he was eventually forced to recognize Ottoman suzerainty. With this, Sultan Murad secured peace in the Balkans and had significantly expanded the Ottoman sphere of influence. At the same time, he used the annual tribute paid by the Christian vassals to finance preparations for future campaigns and establish strongholds that would serve as staging points for spreading Islam further into Europe. While there was peace in the Balkans, Prince Lazar emerged from the ruins of the Serbian Empire as the most powerful nobleman. He used the fall of the Mrnjavčević family after the Battle of Maritza to consolidate his position. His ally and son-in-law, Vuk Branković, took Skopje from Prince Marko, the former capital of the Serbian Empire. Then, in autumn of 1373, Lazar...
Skopje is the current capital of a country today. It's not Serbia. What is it though? Macedonia?
banded together with the Bosnian Ban Tvrtko and a Hungarian nobleman, Nicholas Garai, to form a coalition against his rival, Prince Nikola Altamanović. Outnumbered and attacked from all sides, Nicola's dominion was conquered and divided between the three allies. And in 1379, the area of Branicevo in the north also fell to the ambitious Lazar. These expansions strengthened Lazar's tax base and manpower, while the newly acquired mineral wealth financed recruitment of more troops. Soon enough, Lazar deemed himself the ruler of all Serbian lands, openly claiming the right over all remnants of the former Serbian Empire. To the west, the Bosnian band Tvrtko was also on the rise, and in 1377 he was crowned as king of the Serbs and Bosnia in the Milićevo monastery.
What is all of this land here? Who controls this, I wonder?
Thus also showing ambition to unite all Serbian lands into one powerful kingdom. Despite the conflicting ambitions, both Lazar and Tvrtko remained faithful allies, ignoring their disagreements, guided exclusively by realpolitik. While the Balkan states were
Realpolitik,
remained faithful allies, ignoring their disagreements, guided exclusively by realpolitik.
I don't like the term realpolitik, because realpolitik means you think about your actions' repercussions, and so it seems like realpolitik is supposed to mean less sophisticated approaches to your problems. But is that realistic? So it seems like the more that you think about and you try to do things that aren't something that a simpleton would see as like, oh, that good, then that's not realpolitik. I always have a problem with that term.
While the Balkan states were dealing with their problems, Sultan Murad renewed his offensive. In 1380, small Ottoman contingents regularly ventured into Christian territory, primarily to plunder, disrupt the enemy's economy, and implant fear among the population, but also to scout rival armies. Bulgaria suffered the brunt of these raids, especially in the area south of Balkan Mountains. One such incursion took place in the summer of 1381, when an Ottoman detachment broke through so deeply into the Bulgarian lands that they crossed into the territory of the Serbian prince, Lazar. However, Lazar's voivodes were quick to react and managed to defeat the Turks in the Battle of Dubrovnica. The Ottoman offensive did not stop here. With a new attack in 1383, the Turks occupied Serez.
But that says 1481. What's going on here?
In the Battle of Dubrovnica. The Ottoman offensive did not stop here. With a new attack in 1383, the Turks occupied Serez, one of the most important cities in Macedonia, and 2 years later, Sofia was conquered.
Current Bulgarian capital,
The
right?
way to Serbia was now open, and indeed in 1386, a strong Ottoman army attacked, taking the important city of Niš, from where they proceeded towards Lazar's capital, Kruševac. But Lazar intercepted and dealt a heavy defeat on the Ottomans in the Battle of Plochnik. The Turks withdrew from Serbia, but kept hold of Niš. Encouraged by the Christian victory, Emperor Ivan Shishman of Bulgaria stopped paying tribute and sending troops to serve under the Sultan. However, the Turks responded by invading Bulgaria with a huge army, conquering numerous cities and forcing Ivan to again become a vassal. On the Aegean coast in 1387, Thessaloniki, the second largest city in Byzantium, fell into Turkish hands. In the summer of 1388, a new detachment led by the Ottoman commander Lala Shahin Pasha set out for the Serbian lords. Without attacking Ottoman
I'm really
vassal-
confused by a lot of these dates, because I thought the fall of Constantinople was in like 1450 something, but clearly they already have control of it. Or am I mistaking the fall of Constantinople with just the fall of the Byzantine Empire itself? I don't know.
Marko and Konstantin Dijanovic, Shahin Pasha probably marched through Kosovo to attack the Kingdom of Bosnia. However, under the command of Voivode Vlatko Vukovic, the Bosnians inflicted a decisive defeat on the Ottomans. Their commander, Lala Shahin Pasha, barely escaped with his life from Bosnia. It was then that Sultan Murad realized that these incursions were not enough to destroy the economy and bring chaos within Lazar's domain. Although small, the so-called Moravian Serbia was economically strong and militarily well organized. Thus, Murad began preparations for a major military campaign to defeat Prince Lazar. Thousands were recruited from both the European and Asian parts of the Sultanate. In 1389, with his two sons...
I'm also surprised at how little of Anatolia, of the Anatolian Peninsula, they have control of while they're going this deep into southeastern Europe.
Parts of the Sultanate. Thousands were recruited from both the European and Asian parts of the Sultanate. In 1389, with his two sons, Yakub Çelebi and Bayezid, Murad set out to settle accounts with the Serbs. Learning of Murad's plans, Lazar called upon his ally, Tvrtko. Although busy fighting on the Dalmatian coast, the Bosnian king sent a strong detachment under the command of Vlatko Vukovic, called upon his ally, Tvrtko. Although busy fighting on the Dalmatian coast, the Bosnian king sent a strong detachment under the command of Vlatko Vukovic, who had experience in fighting the Ottomans. Lazar's son-in-law, the master of Kosovo, Vuk Brankovic, also prepared for war. Very small detachments of knights from the surrounding Christian countries, such as Hungary, Bulgaria, Albania, Croatia, and Wallachia, may have come to Lazar's aid, who tried to gather as large a coalition as possible. But his primary concern was maintaining a precarious peace.
Not only if you're part of these areas like Bosnia and Wallachia and Hungary, would it be good reason to go to their aid because maybe you don't have perfect relations with these people, but the Ottomans seem like the bigger threat. But also, even if the Ottomans prove victorious, then you still have a big possibility. So it could be like win-win for you. Either you join the forces and repel the Ottomans, and therefore weaken the Ottomans and gain more favor with these people, or you lose against the Ottomans and then are able to probably capture and fortify a lot of the places in the fallen territory.
With Hungary, where not too long ago he meddled in the Hungarian Civil War against King Sigismund. With his army gathered, Lazar marched off to meet the Ottomans. Meanwhile, Sultan Murad passed through the territory of his Serbian vassal, Konstantin Dijanovic, and advanced to meet Lazar. On June 5th,
I love History March, and their videos, they're so consistent and in a very good way. Consistent in how they approach the videos, and they go about halfway through the video just talking about the background and the larger picture, and then they enter the battle scene that is the main part of the video. I love it.
On June 15th, 1389, the opposing forces stood facing each other on the field of Kosovo. In the first ranks of the Ottoman army, the Sultan positioned his archers. Behind them was a strong line of infantry, which consisted mostly of Azebs. Further back were the Akinji light cavalry and the...
I would assume the archers would be on the front line because that way they would have the best chance of being in range of shooting people, and also if they look like they're coming up, the people behind the archers can easily go through them and protect them.
Azebs. Further back were the Akinji light cavalry and the Sipahi heavy cavalry. The Sultan's sons, Yakub and Bayezid, commanded the left and right wing, respectively. Murad was stationed in the center, accompanied by a detachment of Janissaries, who served as his personal guard.
I heard Janissaries were, correct me if I'm wrong, were like captured Christian kids who were raised from childhood. They were captured from their family and then raised and taught the ways of Islam and then taught to be fierce warriors. And I want to know how true that is. Like, is it that some of them were former captured Christian kids, or that all of them were that way?
Across the battlefield, Lazar's army was mostly made up of heavy cavalry, the main fighting force in most European countries at the time. Cavalry was placed in the front rows, with probably some lighter cavalry units next to them. Behind them stood the infantry.
No
Lazar
archers.
commanded the center of the army, with Bosnian voivode Vlatko Vukovic at the head of the left wing, and Vuk Brankovic commanding the right. Sources are conflicting on the size of the two armies. However, it is likely that the Ottomans had a numerical advantage with 30,000 troops, especially in the infantry arm, while Lazar's smaller force of 20,000 troops were better equipped. Lazar's plan was to strike and disperse the enemy formation, knowing that the psychological pressure created by the charge of his heavy cavalry would test the resolve of the Ottoman troops. However, Murad expected this and arrayed his army in a defensive formation. He planned to use his archers in the opening stage. While they could not inflict much damage on the heavy cavalry, their arrow volleys could provoke the enemy into an unorganized charge. Rows of spikes were placed to slow down the advancing enemy formations. After first contact, the Ottoman infantry would then bear the brunt of the Serbian cavalry charge. And once Lazar's attack lost momentum, the Sultan would launch a general counterattack. Artillery opened the engagement, but the shots fell well short of their intended targets. Shortly afterwards, Ottoman archers stepped forward.
Such a fascinating stage of warfare where you do have gunpowder weapons, but they're not reliable enough, and so you still need stuff like bows and arrows and swords and cavalry. Such an interesting time.
They unleashed on the Serbian knights, who waited for the signal of their commanders. Lazar ordered the charge of his entire cavalry.
Retreat,
Flooding
retreat.
with thousands of European knights steamed towards the Ottoman line. Prince Lazar himself took part in the action, as well as the commanders of the left and right wings. The Ottomans probably expected that the first phase of the battle would be the most difficult. And indeed, the Serbian charge inflicted heavy losses on Murad's army. The Serbian left wing and center had some success in driving back the Turks. But the greatest progress was on the right wing, commanded by Vuk Brankovic.
So fascinating how a lot of this grand scheme of conquering areas can be done with certain alliances and like certain quick raids and messing with people. But at the end of the day, you're gonna have to face a main brunt of army against army and have a legitimate giant battle.
His charge was so effective that the enemy's infantry could not stop his advance. Murad's left wing, under the command of his son Yakub, gradually started to bend and retreat. The Serbs were so superior on this part of the front that they broke through to the Ottoman camp. This was the critical moment of the battle, and most sources agree on the course of the battle only up to this point. We will rely on the correspondence that arose immediately after the battle between the Bosnian king Tvrtko and the administration of the city of Florence.
I love when people teaching history are clear about that, how, you know, history isn't this thing that was laid out meant to be perfectly understandable by people in the future. It's almost like a sort of archaeology. Well, and I love like History March saying, you know, this is the point where stuff is a bit more hazy, and this is where we're getting the information from.
It's said that a group of Serbian knights broke through the Ottoman ranks and hacked their way towards Murad's tent, which was surrounded by camels. In the melee, one of the knights, whose name is unknown, allegedly cut down the Ottoman Sultan. Meanwhile, the situation on the front improved for the Turks. The endangered Ottoman left wing received reinforcements and managed to stabilize the situation, while the right wing, despite the losses, stopped the advance of the Bosnians. Then, Bayezid brought his cavalry into the fight and started a counteroffensive against Vlatko Vukovic. If it is true that Murad died during the battle, as some sources claim, and that Bayezid took control of the entire army, it is truly astonishing how the Ottomans managed to maintain discipline and even go on the counteroffensive.
Even after their guy died. I'm sure it can often have one of two effects. Either debilitating, oh god, our leader's dead effect, and more disorderly and maybe flee, or they just killed our leader, fight to the death sort of thing.
And even go on the counteroffensive. Vlatko Vukovic then began to lose control of his troops, which gradually withdrew. In the end, the entire Serbian left wing fled the field.
Oh, God.
The defeat on the left wing threatened Lazar's left flank, which remained completely unprotected. Bayezid's troops quickly seized on this opportunity and rushed against the Serbian center. Realizing the situation, Vuk Brankovic most likely saw that the battle was lost and initiated an organized withdrawal from the battlefield. Lazar, probably unable to carry out his own retreat in an organized manner, either fell in battle or was captured and decapitated. According to most Ottoman sources, the death of Sultan Murad took place while his troops were scattered and while they were chasing the Serbian army. Allegedly, the Sultan found himself alone momentarily, which was used by a Christian warrior who pretended to be dead to kill the Sultan as he walked by.
Whoa.
The most
That's
common
crazy.
version in the Western world is that a Serbian knight came to surrender, but when he was brought before Murad, he drew a dagger and killed the Sultan. The name of the knight remained unknown, but over time he was named Miloš Obilić and became a symbol of courage and resistance in Serbian tradition. Due to contradictory sources, historians cannot determine the time of the Sultan's death.
But they do agree that he did die in this battle.
But whenever Murad met his end, his son Yaqub was killed soon after by his brother Bayezid in his bid to become...
Jesus Christ, this is movie material.
Yaqub was killed soon after by his brother Bayezid in his bid to become the new Sultan.
Wow.
After the battle, Sultan Bayezid retreated from the field of Kosovo to consolidate power and prevent potential rebellions.
Imagine being in the midst of battle or towards the end of the battle and then finding out your dad has died, who was the ruler of the Ottomans, and then having to right away think, oh God, my brother. It's like you're fighting, you and your brother, with your dad, and you're defeating the army after a long battle, and then you find out your dad dies, and you have to be like, oh God, our dad died. And then you have to watch out for your brother. That's crazy.
News spread throughout Europe about Sultan Murad's death and that the Ottoman campaign against the Christians was stopped. This news was mostly spread by the Bosnian king Tvrtko, and indeed, from his perspective, the Battle of Kosovo was a great victory, especially since most of his forces returned safely to Bosnia.
And now you could probably take advantage of a power vacuum.
For Moravian Serbia, the battle had catastrophic consequences. With Lazar's death, his wife Milica took power because their son Stefan Lazarevic was still a minor. Their powerful army was destroyed and would take some time to recover. Although the Ottomans did not continue their campaign after the battle, in the autumn of 1389, the Hungarians invaded Serbia.
What did I say? I was right for once. See, it's like win-win.
From the north, ravaging large areas and besieging smaller cities. Unable to resist them, Princess Milica was forced to accept the suzerainty of Sultan Bayezid and had sent her youngest daughter to his harem as a pledge of peace between the Lazarevic family and the Ottoman.
Oh my God. It's so depressing, the amount of people in history who had no control over their own destiny. It's like so many people you either died in childbirth or as a young kid, or you're a woman who is just a daughter of someone, and you're just like, hey, you're going to this sex ring of this guy over here. Sorry. That's so depressing.
Empire. On the other hand, Vuk Brankovic, having preserved much of his troops, continued to resist the Ottomans.
Maybe sex ring was the wrong term, but I mean, you are now property in a harem, you know.
Having preserved much of his troops, continued to resist the Ottomans until his death. To this day, there is disagreement among historians about who was victorious in the Battle of Kosovo. The reason for this dispute is the death of both rulers, which has not happened often in history. Those who claim that the battle was a Serbian victory base their argument that the advance of the Turks was temporarily stopped.
I'd say it was a Hungarian victory.
And those who consider it an Ottoman victory do so because the Ottoman army prevailed on the battlefield. In any case,
I'd say, I mean, the best way of seeing who is victorious would be how the power in the area changed afterwards. If it went in one way, then it's likely they were more victorious in the battle.
Lazar's
likely.
Coalition, the Ottomans broke the strongest resistance in the Balkans, and as early as 1390, they resumed their campaigns, primarily aiding their Serbian vassals in their fight against Hungary.
Wow.
If you stayed around this far, thank you for watching. And if you'd like to support our work like all these amazing people do, head over to our Patreon page where you can get ad-free early access to our videos.
Great video. Fascinating. Love learning about history. And it seems like this is where the Ottomans are really gaining steam. Some of the dates were a bit confusing, but overall, fantastic video and amazing, like, drama and stories, and drama in the two brothers and stories in that guy who maybe faked death and killed the king when he was alone walking by, or the sultan, or being brought towards him, somehow not being checked for weapons and stabbing him. Just fascinating. What if that easily could be turned into a movie, and I'd watch it for sure. Love you all. Hope you're all doing well. Would appreciate any comments down below. If I said anything that was wrong or you disagree with, let me know. I would love nothing more. Answering my questions. You guys are always great down there. And I hope I'll see you next video. We'll keep on learning together. Bye, guys.